Hello, happy fall. There's still lots of sun, but it's beginning to cool off. Better air too, so we can get outside more. That makes me happy. I think you'll enjoy today's service. More than 35 people helped put it together, including Vaughan on our video board and Andy Dooley-Miller on our audio board, both new techie recruits for our Sunday morning streaming. As usual, Beth will be hosting our chat line, so if you encounter any tech issues, let her know, and she'll do her best to solve it. So here we go. Join me in singing our first song, Open My Heart, 1013 if you happen to have a hymnal. Good morning, beloveds. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains, right here in Grass Valley, California. As we begin our final Sunday, exploring what it means to be a people embracing possibility. That theme has taken on a whole new meaning as we navigate this unexpectedly upside-down world, finding ways to navigate together. Sunday mornings via Zoom, small soul circles, COVID-safe walks together, sack races around the UUCM pumpkin patch, they're feeding our souls, soothing our loneliness, and revealing our creativity. Each of you is such a welcome part of our community. A fair number of you have joined us by surfing the web on Sunday mornings, some of you today for the first time. Imagine the surprise of finding only a click away beautiful, meaningful, high-quality local services that match your values and have room for whatever ways you seek answers to life's big questions. Imagine your delight that no matter your age, your height, your size, the color of your eyes, your skin, your hair, whether you attend your services in your PJs or Sunday best, you are welcome here. And as you may have heard me say so many times, your welcome is not limited by how you pray or don't pray, who you love, or whether you've remained jolly and upbeat through these times and before, or whether your mental health is simply a challenge for you now or even before, or whether it's been a roller coaster ride for you. Our welcome is meant for you. Come, join us in the exploration of heart and soul and mind, that we may be enriched by our differences and the unavoidable concept that we are all one. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
As we light our chalice, let us remember each moment of wakefulness has so many gifts that offer energy and delight. Even in the moment of great danger, the direction of attention is a choice. Great possibilities await us, even if all we can see is the cliff before us. Holding reality and possibility together is the holy, hope-filled work of humanity, if we choose it again and again in love.
This is the time that you might want to light your home chalice if you have one.
In our commitment to be in a right relationship with the descendants of this area's indigenous people, we place a small basket of black acorns on our altar each week. In doing so, we acknowledge the Nissan people are still here among us today, though they may be nearly invisible, and their stories continue to be excluded from history. We understand that we are on Nissan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As residents or visitors of the Nissan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nissan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as a campaign to restore tribal sovereignty through federal recognition.
The opening words come from the Reverend Scott Taylor. As so much closed, we were opened. Normal was taken, but it was also turned inside out. Very little is inevitable. Most of it is a choice. This is what we have learned. So now the question comes, do we really want to go back? We can weave a new world, friends. The straw can be spun into gold. A door has swung wide, with possibility trying to pull us through. And what of today? Might it be our first step?
Good morning. With all this talk about pandemic possibilities, lately I've been wondering about joy and sorrow. Specifically, is it possible to feel both at the same time? I'd have to say yes, of course, just as it is also possible to feel some pain in our pleasure, some hurt in healing, and happiness in hard times. But then again, sometimes joy can be ecstatically unbridled, and sorrows can be overwhelmingly, well, sad. Possibilities abound. But we know that joys are even better when shared, just as sorrows become easier to bear when we reveal them to each other. In the quiet of the upcoming beautiful musical and visual interlude, I invite you to take some deep breaths and let surface whatever you are carrying today that wants to be shared with this loving, caring community. If you feel moved to, you may type into the chat and I will read aloud what is written. Make sure you press the return or the enter key to send it out. While this weekly ritual takes place, please hold space for each other in the tenderest of ways so that we may all feel the strength of the connection we share. I lit this candle for all those who are struggling with COVID-19, be they patients, caregivers, or loved ones. And I share this bowl of water as a blessing upon the parched earth to quench the fires that continue to burn in our drought-dried land. Of course, there's always so much more that remains in our hearts as yet unspoken, too tender to share today in this way. For all this and more, may you feel yourself held even as you hold others in love and support. Our meditation this morning was written by Carol Allman Morton, and it's entitled A Meditation on Letting Go. Many of us carry a burden of worry, anxiety over the state of the world, worries about money, about our environment, our families, about peace and justice. May we trust that nothing will get worse for us putting that burden down for a moment. May we let go of what weighs us down. May we find that we can set down worry for longer and longer periods of time. In our experience of letting go, may we be open to the possibility that we need not pick our worries back up. May we find passion and strength to work for change where we have the power to do so, and to let go where we do not. If not forever, let us put down any worries or anxiety for our time of quiet. May we be in quiet together.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, O my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, O my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, O my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, O my soul. Be with me, be with me, be with me, oh my soul. Be with me, be with me, be with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
This reading from Charles Eisenstein. COVID-19 is like a rehab intervention that breaks the addictive hold of normality. To interrupt a habit is to make it visible. It is to turn it from a compulsion to a choice. When the crisis subsides, we might have occasion to ask whether we want to return to normal, or whether there might be something we've seen during the break in the routine that we want to bring into the future.
So, what makes surviving the pandemic possible? When the world unexpectedly turns upside down, imagine my surprise. And when things thought impossible emerge from the upside down world, imagine my surprise. Much of this time has been beyond words, dwelling in the regions of the emotions and the soul and out of reach of the intellect. Nonetheless, members of our community have reached into our bags of tricks to find ways to make it through, many finding possibilities we couldn't have imagined. I asked members of our community to send me pictures of the contents of their bags of tricks, those ordinary things that have been life rafts for us through these times. You're about to see what many of them sent, as they tell you in images, not words, so much about who they are. I am so delighted that so many of you contributed to this lovely offering. And some I realized in the middle of the night, whoa, I don't think I got that one in. Forgive me if yours isn't there. And included in the offering is Reverend Kevin's beautiful music in the background. So settle in and relax as you enter into an enticing and delightful set of visual images of things that members of our community have turned to make it through the pandemic. Whether you sent in pictures or not, if you like, you can talk about what you saw or sent by joining the breakout group 2 after the service. Pretty wonderful. There's so many. I wanted to give them all their own slide, and I wanted to give them longer time. And I realized that I can do that because we can post it on our YouTube video. So if you'd like to add to it, and of course give me a chance to put the ones in that I missed, I'm so sorry, send them to me today or tomorrow, and I'll redo the video, and we're going to post it on our YouTube channel, which you can find by going to uugrassvalley.org. So I also asked a few of us to share their surprises in words. I'm going to begin. In my August 22nd sermon, This Old House, I talked about some of the surprises the pandemic has presented me. Sweet, simple relationships with folks who do daily walks on my road. Uncoupling my political biases from these folks, since there's no way for me to know their politics. We just get to be people together. And I've had so much more contact with my horde of grandchildren, thanks to COVID and a new ritual of reading the best children's novels on Zoom together. I've discovered, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I am, that they treasure our times as much as I do. Then there's been the other side of the surprise. It came from reading Isabel Wilkerson's book, Caste, Origins of Our Discontent. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was, that our democracy is so dangerously at risk. And with that surprise came the surprise of multiple ways in which I can work from my own home to help unravel the deathly webs of voter suppression, white supremacy, and insidious under-the-radar evil networks that have been quietly working for decades to bring us to this precipice. If you want to know about what I found, just send me an email. I'll tell you. Our tapestry today is woven by Pam Kaiser, Tom Wernick, Grace Kendrick, and Jasper Waters. Their sharing gives us a peek into parts of them that you may or may not know. And with the sharing comes a reminder of the hunger we feel for the personal, physical contact we hope soon we'll be able to enjoy. Pam?
Good morning. When Gail called and asked me to speak about embracing the surprises I had discovered during COVID, I must admit that I found the topic quite challenging. While it wasn't too hard to list the surprising things I've discovered during COVID restrictions, I'm not too sure about what possibilities I'm ready to embrace. But one of the things I did discover right away was all the uses of Zoom. Zoom showed me how to keep in contact with people who live far away. When COVID first happened, I was delighted to discover Zoom cocktails with friends that live in LA. That was my first embracing possibilities moments. And I've heard from lots of people that they've had more contact with families and friends than they ever had before, thanks to Zoom. And I also know now that there are so many other ways to use Zoom as well. Zoom has provided us with the ability to meet and get work accomplished and have vibrant Sunday services that warmed our hearts and spirits during the darkest times. And Zoom has shown us that once we are able to return to Sunday services, we'll be able to offer a way to stay connected with those who are unable to attend in person. Most of all, our familiarity with Zoom has opened us up for new possibilities for future ways to communicate and stay connected, ways we just never thought about before. And that is something I can embrace for sure. Having said that, I must add that I often think in terms of two sides of the same coin. And so, while technology of Zoom has given us so much, it's also shown us how much we need actual human contact. Zoom allows us to be present in intellectual ways, but not in spontaneous or fully connected ways. For that, we need body language, we need human energy, we need touch and physical and spiritual warmth. So let's embrace that too and take advantage of the opportunities to enjoy human contact whenever it's available and safe to do so. Let's literally embrace each other whenever we can. Beyond Zoom, I have found that the biggest embraceable surprise that COVID has presented is in teaching us all just how adaptable and flexible we are. COVID has focused our attention, made us more aware of our frailties and gifts, and given us the opportunity to test our inner strength. We humans often show an uncanny ability to rise to the occasion when tested, and this rising teaches us something new about ourselves each time we are tested. This something new helps us to adapt to what comes next, and so on and so on. COVID has provided us with unlimited amounts of practice at adapting. This is something we all must embrace if we're to change. The pandemic has created a worldwide shakeup of our sense of reality, and this shakeup creates the impetus for change, for better or worse, that we're all responding to. I'm quite fond of the saying, nobody likes change but a wet baby. And to some degree, that's true. Change is hard. It requires us to adapt in ways that may not always be comfortable. COVID has reminded us that we're both vulnerable and adaptable, and that we need each other to thrive. Personally, I know that I, like others, have at times during the past year felt overwhelmed, been full of grief, anger, sadness, and I've been undirected, misdirected, directionless at times, and also laser-focused at times, depending on the moment. I've also been filled with joy and delight and love, and found immense pleasure in the smallest face-to-face conversation. I've navigated these past 19 months with more calm and strength than I would have predicted at the beginning of COVID, and I bet you have too. And though I feel stretched to my limit at times, I know that we have not reached the end, either of our limits or our ability to respond with flexibility and compassion to whatever comes next. The one thing that won't be surprising is that something will come next. It always does. We're not trying to get everything back to the way it was. We're just trying to adapt to what is and will be and accept the inevitability of change. I guess I can embrace that. Thank you.
Hi. I consider myself a creative person, but sometimes I can get overwhelmed with too many possibilities. I work better with a limited palette. When I cook, for instance, I like to work with what's on hand. Some people like to go to the store and get exactly what they need. I prefer to improvise with what's available. I work best within limits. Asked to identify the pandemic time with possibility, initially I could only think of the negatives. For some people, the virus has been a nuisance. For others, terrible and life-changing. But while honoring the hardship this time has represented for so many of us, I have been able to identify a kind of limiting that has happened to me and for which I have been thankful. When the pandemic hit, I was more or less contentedly teaching adult ed at our local jail, the Wayne Brown Correctional Facility. In fact, I really cherished the relationships that developed during that time with my students. But I say more or less contentedly because there were aspects of the job I did not care for. Well, no job is perfect, right? Some guards were less than helpful. The red tape was cumbersome. But what I really hated was the public speaking aspect. Twice a year, we celebrated student successes with a little graduation ceremony, or several ceremonies, as the jail is divided up into smaller sections. So the other teacher and myself, along with the warden, the principal, and the superintendent, plus some board members, did a traveling dog and pony show from one end of the jail to the other. And I had to give brief speeches at each stop, touting the program and the accomplishments of the students. I try to view these things as minor nuisances. After all, I had been teaching for 15 years before the jail. Before the jail, I worked for a dozen years as a classroom and independent studies teacher. And the payoff for staff meetings, IEPs, and other formalities or other inconveniences seemed to be worth it. I had a job where I felt I was doing good in the world. I was teaching children to think critically, or that was the hope. And I was never bored. Well, yes, the meetings were boring, but more than that, meetings I experience as intensely anxious, or I have extreme anxiety. Though the payoffs seem worth it, meetings often brought me to the edge of despair. What is this about? Believe it or not, I have intense social anxiety. But how could you get up in front of a classroom and teach, you ask? And you are a performer on top of that. Fortunately, I am able to perform within certain boundaries. Like this talk, for instance, I have a script, and nobody is going to interrupt or challenge me, I hope. I am also good one-on-one, but in other social situations, I am often inwardly gasping for air. So where does the embracing possibility come in? Well, the pandemic gave me the opportunity to try out a different career, one that pays even less than teaching, but one that suits me better. I am now an in-home caregiver, and when the jail gave the teaching contract to Placer County Adult Ed instead, I made the decision to not pursue another teaching job, but rather to retire from teaching altogether. As of last week, I am a retired teacher. Hooray. Caregiving is not without drawbacks. I have to deal with personalities, some easier to deal with than others. Sometimes there seems to be too much to get done. Sometimes I'm bored. And some of my tasks are distasteful. But so far, no despair, and that is a blessing. Thank you.
What's possible? Before, we were our normal, super busy selves, driving here, there, and yonder, dropping kids at school and activities, while squeezing in work and meetings and walks, not necessarily in that order, or in any order for that matter, because it was all so freaking chaotic. I had recently secured a second job to make an actual paycheck while continuing to run my physically and emotionally fulfilling, yet financially draining yoga studio. My schedule went something like this: kids, school, work, teach, store, exercise, kids, school, work, teach, store, exercise, kids, school, work, teach, store, maybe exercise, but probably not. Oh yeah, and sleep. It was our wonderful life. Then COVID happened. And here's what our family learned about possibility. We learned that it's possible to learn how to bake homemade sourdough bread from your older sister when you're a teenager and there's not much else to do. To go to school from the comfort of your home in your underwear after a big slice of warm sourdough bread with lots of butter. To work from the comfort of your home in pajamas with a hot cup of coffee and warm milk. To stay connected to good friends despite rules that create physical distance. We learned it's possible to close a business that you love and survive the sadness and loss of community and tribe. To reconnect with a tribe that you moved away from years ago when you figure out you can still be together in the cosmos. To have a dream job that you didn't even know was a dream job until you all survived a pandemic together. We learned that it's possible to learn your neighbors' names and take out their garbage when their partner suddenly dies. To temporarily foster another neighbor's dog while they go through an unimaginable health crisis. To break a bone and still be cared for by a health system that is understaffed and overwhelmed. to spend a crap load of time with the same 3 people and love them more deeply every day. To go a little crazy and then get better with time. To forgive yourself for gaining 18 pounds and then to forgive yourself again for lying about that first forgiveness. To stop for a week or 10 days and sleep a lot and lay in a hammock and watch the trees bow down and read a few chapters of a good book. We learned that it's possible to slow down, to stop.
It's no new observation that closing doors are often an illusion of expectations. In a world as infinitely varied as the one we live in, there are so many countless directions to look that if you find yourself in a tunnel, I think many of us could benefit from simply turning our heads. Apologies for maybe the sloppy metaphor, but that's how I've felt this year in quarantine. When quarantine first started, I saw my options constrict. I saw my social opportunities suck dry and my study time become terminally at home, where I feel the least productive. I saw everything go online, where things feel less real and commitment is hard to hold on to. And though I had plenty of months go by with no silver lining, once I had become used to the rhythms of schedule-less existence, things began to come together for me. It just took some shifting of my perspective. With less in-person schooling and commutes to and from Rockland, where I go to college, I had time to get a job with a healthy number of hours, which is helping me grow my previously dusty savings account. At home, I passed by my piano more times than I can count, and eventually that passing by turned into mild interest. I can say with confidence that while I am still very amateur, my piano ability has improved substantially over the course of quarantine. And not to say that all opportunities are self-discovered, I was also graced by the kindness of an online creative who pays me to write spooky stories on a relatively regular basis. Similarly, I reconnected with an old friend on the premise of making music together, which has gone exceedingly well, especially considering the duresses of COVID. In honesty, I highly doubt any of these things would have happened in the absence of quarantine. Though I am certain that other good to great things would have happened had the world stayed open and healthy, I can safely say that where we are now is not devoid of its benefits, even if they are hard to see.
Thank you all so much. I think sometimes the tapestries are my favorite parts of our services. Possible and impossible are both abstract concepts that we use to understand our world, and both can be proven false or proven true. One that we have proven true is that UUCM has been a life raft in these months of confusion, fear, loneliness, and courage. The gifts you give keep us alive and support the sometimes seemingly impossible missions of our monthly Pass the Plate partners. The work of this month's partner, Color Me Human, is dismantling the systems of oppression right here in Nevada County. Their mission is not just possible, but necessary for our country to live up to our promise of life, liberty, and justice for all. 25% of your gift today, or more if you choose, will fuel their work. I urge you to give as if your life depended on it, for it very well may. Allison will now tell you how to make your gift.
Although we're not passing the basket in person, your generosity remains essential to our ability to sustain the work of our community. There are several ways to contribute. You may text an amount to 833-579 0483, give via our website at uugrassvalley.org, via PayPal at paypal.me/UUCM, or mail to UUCM 246 South Church Street, Grass Valley, California 95945. Thank you.
Thank you for your generosity. We dedicate these gifts to life, liberty, and justice for all. So many people to thank today. Over 35 people involved in this service today. Cheryl Morris, who shares the worship associate duties with me, although behind the scenes, although you got a little peek of her lighting the chalice today. Beth doing the chat host work, that's no small thing, week after week, and doing it with such grace. And today, Andy Dooley Miller and Siobhan Boyan, whoops, there's Andy, yay, okay, good job, Siobhan. See, she's got it already, doing the video board. We can't switch to you, can we? No, I guess not. Video editing, Jordan Thomas Rose and myself working on that. The setting, which she hopes will be a surprise to you, by Shante Emerson, who says she carried the big giraffe back on the plane from Kenya, so that's worth knowing. And our musicians, Kevin, thank you so much for providing the soundtrack to our slideshow, and Jordan's wonderful music week after week, and Andy and Shannon Dooley Miller reading, Beth Caro, Gracie, Kendrick, Pam Kaiser, Jasper Waters, and Tom Wernick. Wonderful to have you, and to have you actually in the room with us. It feels full compared to other times. And our production crew, Corey Silva, and all of those above. Oh, Siobhan is visible. There's Siobhan. Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. All right. And then if we can, the slideshow, so many. I'm not going to read them all, but as I said, we're going to post it. So you can look forward to seeing that and spending more time getting to know people through their images. Thank you all. These services could not happen without this community. And now, our closing song.
My life flows on in endless song above Earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth, it liveth. given. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing when tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near? How can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging, when friends by shame are undefiled. How can I keep from singing?
Our closing words today were written by Reverend Michael A. Schuler, the parish minister of the First Unitarian Society of Madison, Wisconsin. He calls it an ending or merely a prelude to more glorious beginnings. We have reached the end of this time for letting the imagination play with future possibilities. Shall it be concluded then? Or will this adventure now commenced continue, our separate paths converging, meeting, merging in the unending quest for love more perfect and the joyous struggle for meaning more sufficient and life more abundant? Is this ending to be an ending or merely a prelude to new, more glorious beginnings? I pose the question. In your heart lies the answer. And as we extinguish the flame of our chalice, let us carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. And I will remind you that Soul Matters Open Circles are happening today, small groups sharing around this month's theme. Today after the service from 12 to 2. You can see the e-chalice or the website for more information. A nice taste of what it is actually like.
And we'll see you next Sunday, October 3rd, October already, 10:30 a.m. We get there side by side with Reverend Kevin Tarsa and Jeff Stone, worship associate. Get ready. You can turn on your camera if you haven't done so already. And I'll be unmuting everyone shortly so you can greet each other and say hello. You'll be invited to join a breakout room if you care to have a smaller conversation, or you can stay in the large group here with me. Come back to it at any time you like. If you need any help, send me a note in the chat so I know who's needing help. Here's a list of today's breakout rooms.